But here's another scripture that conflicts with this. 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 5. For there is one God and one mediator between God and men, the man, Yahushua Messiah. We would have to deny that he's actually a man. And therefore, you're denying scripture. So that's my first rebuttal to the Unitarians' stance on the word form being simply outward appearance. So although Yahusha existed in the form of God, did not regard equality with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied himself, he's not just emptying himself of an outward appearance. That can't be it, because he took on the form of a servant, of a human being in the likeness of men. This likeness of men can't just be talking about the outward form of men, but actually talking about the very nature of a human being. He took on the nature of a human being, which he didn't have before, which he wasn't before, until he was born of a virgin. So I disagree strongly, and I think, we should all point this out when dealing with Unitarians on Philippians 2:6.
Yeah, and they would lead to idolatry, because if you're worshiping something that is acting, in behalf of someone else, you're not worshiping the real.
Absolutely. And that's where Philippians 2, where every knee will bow, every tongue will confess that Yahusha is Lord, or Yahusha is Yahuwah, according to Isaiah 45. This becomes idolatry. If Yahusha is not, if the Messiah is not God the Father, if he's not Yahuwah, if he's not Yahweh, the New Testament promotes idolatry. Or the people who preach this are promoting not to worship God in his fullness of who he is. So they're robbing God of the worship he deserves. That's why this is a big issue. But I'm going to stop there with Philippians 2. It is 12:59. Yeah. So hope you guys will find this helpful. We can continue. I mean, we can go all day dissecting Biblical Unitarianism's website, Jehovah's Witnesses, and seeing how their understanding starts to crumble, because what they do is they humanize Yahusha. They simply take his existence as a divine being, not only a divine being, but as God, and they push him down to a created being or just a human, and barely not even that. Like we just studied today, they're bumping him down to just looking like a human and not actually being human. But they don't believe that. I guarantee you, if I was to ask this guy who wrote this article, he's like, no, that's not what we're saying. We're not saying that he wasn't really human. We believe he was human. Well, that's contradictory to what you just said about Philippians 2. That contradicts your own doctrine. So I hope you guys will find this helpful, but welcome to episode number 1 of our study on Arianism, Trinitarianism, and modalism.